Hello, happy Saturday, Halftime TV viewers and subscribers. Welcome to another episode, and today we'll be doing our reaction video to the opening ceremony over there in Paris, France. Now, it's a 2024 Olympics, and we're here to bring you the coverage. We're here to keep you, the viewers and subscribers, updated on everything that's happening in Paris, especially when it pertains to the Jamaican athletes. All right, before we even go any further, big shout out to the sponsors, Quicklink Shipping and Zivara Enterprise. If you need anything shipped into Jamaica, reach out to Quicklink Shipping, and we know it's approaching back to school season. So go ahead right now, check them out on Facebook and on Instagram as well. Or you can just simply call them at telephone number 876-454-1979. Zivara Enterprise, it's the same thing. Check them out on Instagram for all your camera and your digital needs. Reach out to them. They have you covered. All right, so again, another big day in Paris. I know we don't really pay much attention to the events that are happening outside track and field, especially the Jamaicans, but I've compiled a list of things that I want to discuss today, and I think we should be able to cover it within 30 minutes or so. For the viewers and the subscribers, I want you to share your thoughts in the comment section. We have a poll ongoing as well, so you can drop those answers in the comment section. All right, so Jamaica, we had the opening ceremony yesterday, and there are so many talking points from the opening ceremony, and I want to discuss those. All right, I have a few of my own, but I'm inviting you, the viewers and subscribers, to share what your takeaways are as well from the opening ceremony, because I think they're, I don't know. Anyway, stay tuned for the rest of the video, and you will hear exactly what my thoughts are on the opening ceremony. Big up yourself, Elite Sports TV. As I said, it's Olympic season. So much action happening all over the place. You can't turn the TV off this time of the year. And also, you can't be fixed on one channel because the events are happening concurrently. So across multiple channels, multiple events happening at once. If you have a list of events that you're interested in watching, you can let us know. We can pull the schedule for you and let you know what the time it will be happening in your time zone, or you can simply just stay tuned to Halftime TV, as we tend to discuss most of the events on a daily basis. All right, so we're gonna jump into it right now. I have a few here that I want to discuss, but I'm inviting you, the viewers and subscribers, to share your thoughts as well. What are the main takeaways for you from the opening ceremony? So the first thing for me, I know I had five takeaways from today, but I think I'm going to I might go beyond 5 because there were just so much to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that opening ceremony was basically PG-18. All right, so a lot of what we saw during the opening ceremony, and this is not particularly about the sexual content or what have you, because we know sometimes the Parisians and the French, they can go over the top when it comes down to that. Big up the Lewis household. Big up the Lewis household. As always, tune into Halftime TV. We love and we appreciate you. Dolores, big up yourself. I'm just here to defend Celine Dion. All right, so PG-18. So if you had your child watching the opening ceremony with you yesterday, I am pretty sure there were a couple of moments that you had to put the hand over and cover his or her eyes. All right, but again, let me take a couple of steps back. I know we're getting a little bit excited, but big shout out to Ashley McKenzie, who made it to the round of 16 in judo, and this is the sole Jamaican athlete who took part in the judo at the Olympics. I think it was 3 a.m. this morning. Anyway, he was eliminated in the round of 16. So big shout out Ashley McKenzie. He then came out afterwards and mentioned that he had death in his family. So condolences to the McKenzie family. There were a lot of ups and downs. And again, Jamaican culture, when it comes down to sports, if it's not track and field, we oftentimes forget it. We don't really pay attention to the turmoil that a lot of these athletes had to go through to make it to the Olympics. Again, because it's not track and field, they don't get the same level of respect. They don't get the same level of love and appreciation. And that's just how it is. Hopefully we can change that in the future. But for now, it is what it is. So Halftime TV is going to put it at the top of the show. So before I even go into anything else, big shout out to Ashley McKenzie, round of 16 in judo, where he was eliminated. But again, making it to the round of 16 and just making it to the Olympics, massive feat. So big shout out to Ashley. And I want the folks in the comment section to drop some fire emoji for Ashley McKenzie and the tremendous job that he did. All right, so big up Ashley McKenzie. Keep up the good work, and hopefully next Olympics we'll see you again. Hopefully we'll have measures in place to ensure that athletes like Ashley McKenzie, who are taking part in the sports that aren't so popular, they get the necessary support so they can go to the Olympics and they can do well. Okay, so that covers that. Now back to where I was before. We were talking about the Olympic ceremony and how it was not PG-13, right? So there were a lot of, we saw people standing from windows with decapitated heads and all of that. And we know it's a part of the French culture. So a lot of the times when it comes down to French, I think King Louis, he was beheaded, his wife was beheaded as well. So the guillotine, like chopping someone's head off with the guillotine, it's something that dates back to prehistoric French time. So it's something that they are renowned for in France in the earlier days. And they showcased that during the opening ceremony. Was this the ideal place to showcase that? Probably not. But again, it's the French, and they tend to do whatever they please whenever they please. All right. There were a lot of aspects of art, and we know the French, they have a rich history in art. They adopted Michelangelo, and we later found out that he was actually Italian. So again, so the French, they have a lot of history when it comes on to art. The Louvre, it's one of the hugest art galleries in the world, and that made up a part of the opening ceremony as well. So my first pointer, the PG-18 point, if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section. But we're going to move on to the second point now, which I personally had to point out because there were a lot of my friends, my colleagues who were watching the games as well. So give me 1 second. All right. Yeah, I think we look a little bit better now. All right. So as I was saying, the second pointer that I want to address is the decolonization theme that the French went for. Now, I think originally it was liberty, fraternity, equality, which is basically standing for liberty, equality, and fraternity. I think more political and less entertaining. Okay, I agree. But let me get to the decolonization part. Now, if we're using a theme of decolonization, and this is going out to Emmanuel Macron and the entire Parisian massive, or the French delegate, or whomever did the organization or the organizing for this opening ceremony, why is it we have a tonload of black folks coming in on a boat? Right, we're talking about decolonization, yet you chose to have black people coming in on a boat when you know that black people and boat, we don't have a good relationship. Put it that way, right? If we're thinking from a historical perspective, black people and boats, it doesn't mend well, right? It's that topic that you don't want to bring in the middle of the room. It's not entertaining, right? So I know I've been to Paris. I know that a lot of the city has a lot of water and all of that, like the canals that they used to use for trading and for all of these things. But you can't have black people coming in on a boat and then you're talking about decolonizing or decolonization as one of the themes of the opening ceremony. So I won't even go any further into that. I'll just leave it there because I thought, and that's the symbolism that I took from it. Maybe you deciphered something different. Maybe your interpretation was different. That's fine. As I said, the views expressed on Halftime TV are solely those of myself. Okay? Anyway, so that's my pointer number 2. Or maybe it doesn't even have to be a pointer number 2. It can be even a sub-pointer that someone can look into. All right, I'll go over to the comment section. Gavin Williams said, money mashing up the sport. In Qatar or France paying their way to host global sports is wrong. Okay. Rand, I love this. The cruises. Should I stop? No. No, you shouldn't. But again, France being one of the main colonizers of Black people, we see even today, France still has a stronghold in a number of places. And even, I think as early as a couple of weeks ago at the Copa America, there were chants, which were racist chants, by the way, about so much Black people who they migrate to France, and France assumes them. But on the flip side, France and the government of France cleared the entire streets leading up to the Eiffel Tower because there were so much immigrants there, or refugees, that they didn't want to be there. It doesn't look good on the city to have these individuals here, and it was all over the news. It was everywhere. And again, this is something that happens daily in France, right? You walk, you see so much immigrants. They're selling. They're just there, trying to make ends meet. So again, can't have Black people and vote and talking about decolonization. Again, I just think those don't go well together. Continuing, I just think the opening ceremony from France or by Paris, it was too much. There was just too much going on. There was this guy running through with the torch, and everyone, there was a level of suspense being built around that. But at the same time, there were dancers on this side, and there was someone singing on this side. There was too much going on to captivate the audience the right way, right? I don't know. Again, that's my thought. Let's hear what your thoughts are in the comment section. Tying to the argument of too much happening at once, I think it lacked a focal point. I know usually we're accustomed to opening ceremonies happening inside a stadium where fans, kind of like the Colosseum, where, original feel of an audience. So someone is in the middle. That's where the focal point is. How the seats are set up, you're automatically drawn to what is happening in the middle. And that's the purpose of stadiums or stadia. How it's set up, the full architecture of most stadiums, that's how it's supposed to be. Everyone is supposed to be focused in a single area. So I think the French opening ceremony, it lacked that bit. And I know they wanted to be different. As you saw, the athletes entered via a boat. Usually they're walking in on the track and that sort of thing. They wanted it to be different. So they had the boats going on the canal and folks on either side of the canal cheering on everything that's happening. So I think it lacking a focal point kind of made it easy for audience to lose interest or to basically get sidetracked. You weren't interested in it anymore because it wasn't really right there in front of you. You didn't have to look at it. You could look elsewhere. Whereas had it been in a stadium, you had to look at it because it's everywhere you look, it would be there, right? So yeah, that's my other point. And I'll go over to the comment section. I'll take a slight break now. Yeah, I'll take a slight break and go over to the comment section and see what. All right, I'll go over the comment section and see what my viewers and subscribers are saying there. And remember, folks, keep those votes coming in. Keep those votes coming in. You could hardly see the athletes too. Journey from Killeen. We'll get to that. Rico Willow said, I would have been more entertained looking at a board for 4 to 5 hours. Rewrite the narrative. I can see why Frano kept his people away from that boat. He was saying never again. Doesn't go together. True. I love cruises. Should I stop? No, do not stop, as I mentioned before. So, again, keep the comments coming in as we will continue going down the list. We just mentioned that it lacked a focal point, right? My next pointer is it wasn't inclusive and accommodating to the wider world. Now, if you've been to Paris or if you've never been to France, let me tell you about it. They don't adjust for anyone. And I think this opening ceremony was evident again. If you go to a French restaurant, if you don't know the slightest bit of French, you'll have to figure it out when you're ordering food, because they won't come over and make any additional effort to help you figure out what you want. All right? That's how they are. Folks call them rude, maybe ethnocentric. That's how I see it. But anyway, I think the opening ceremony, large portions of it was in French. I don't know. I didn't see any part that was in English. Maybe it's a coverage that I was getting. You may be getting coverage differently from how I was getting it. The songs were in French. I think Lady Gaga sang in French. Celine Dion, we know she's from Canada, and Canada's second language is French. So she sang in French as well. And then for the rest, it was pure French. So if you don't understand French, it would be difficult for you to actually follow what was happening. And we don't usually see this at the Olympic Games, right? Usually they try to accommodate other folks. They try to accommodate outsiders. It was almost as if this was an entertainment show solely for the Parisians. Okay? And I think I should go back a little bit to when we talk about the inclusive, well, the approach that the French took. I think if you didn't have an idea, of what the French history was about, or if you don't understand what the French's story is, it will make it very, very difficult for you to follow the opening ceremony. And that is basically 90% of those who were tuned in. 90% of us tuned in, we didn't have an idea what the French's story was. So when there were different aspects being showcased, people were Googling, people were trying to find out what this was about. People were trying to tie this into the actual sporting event, how this made sense. Okay, so just focus on that for a second, and you can probably take that pointer away as well. So back to my original point, it wasn't inclusive to the wider audience. And remember, the Olympic is a global event. We had so much countries taking part. We had so much people tuned into the opening ceremony because they wanted to see if either their country, they wanted to see either the show, they wanted to see the spectacle, as we saw the last time in Tokyo. So we saw, was it Tokyo? Yeah, we saw, was it Tokyo? Louis Vuitton never showcased their sweatshops too. But yeah, so the last Olympics that we had, I think it's in China, yeah? Anyway, so the last Olympics we had, we felt as if we were more a part of it. And although there were less singing and all of that, we saw the light shows, we saw the performances, and we felt like we were a part of it. But this one, I felt as if we were basically second fiddle, and we are the audience when I say we. Okay, so the audience is second fiddle, and this is all about the folks, the French folks who were on site. Then I don't think they needed an opening ceremony, but that's my opinion. Okay, all right. So I think we've covered a few. We've covered the PG-18 bit, so it wasn't family friendly. We covered the boat and the black people thing, the decolonization bit. We covered the being over the top and the French focal point, inclusivity and the accommodation. No, I think from a positive or from let's look at this as the strong point of this opening ceremony seemed to have been planned by a toddler. From a strong point, I think Celine Dion performing from the Eiffel Tower, it was the highest point of the Olympic Games so far, the highest point of the opening ceremony. Remember, Celine Dion has been struggling with illness, and this is her return. Safe to say, she smashed it out of the ballpark, and her doing it on the Eiffel Tower, I think you could not have written a more romantic story for Celine Dion, even if you tried. So Celine Dion performing from the Eiffel Tower, it was redemption, or it was a glimmer of hope for the opening ceremony, but also for Canada, because Canada has been the scandal of the Olympics so far. Bev Priestman, the coach for the Canadian team, was spying on, I think it was a New Zealand team, and then ultimately got removed from the Olympic Games along with another person. So Canada has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. So I think Celine Dion's performance on the Eiffel Tower is a glimmer of hope was the glimmer of hope for the opening ceremony, and quite frankly, somewhat of a redemption for Team Canada at the Olympics. Now, my next pointer, Lady Gaga struggles, and maybe this is what I saw. If you saw something different, please let me know. As I said, this is my thought, right? I think Lady Gaga, and again, the lack of focal point and it comes back to this again, the lack of focal point made it difficult for her trying to do too much, and it's almost there were certain points where she seemed as if she was out of breath. She was the choreography wasn't sharp enough. Overall, she's Lady Gaga, so naturally the aura that she brings and all of that is going to get the crowd in a frenzy. But I think Lady Gaga's performance left us wanting. There were so much gaps in her performance, and I think this happening at the Olympics, at the opening ceremony, it showed that there was more to be done. Not for me to say, Randall. So Lady Gaga struggles. That's my next point, and we're continuing the screen time. So depending on where you're watching the Olympics from, so if you're watching it from the United States, if you're watching it from Canada, if you're watching it from Jamaica, you may have a different experience based on who's bringing it. Now, if you're watching in the United States, the US is going to bring their athletes, the events that their athletes are performing in, and even at the end of the day, their athletes are constantly going to get the highlight. Now, yesterday, during the opening ceremony, there were a lot of folks who complained that Jamaica only got maybe 15 seconds worth of screen time. We have to accept the fact that, hey, these folks, they're focused on their people, and their people, quite frankly, don't want to see Jamaica. Their people want to see their athletes. So if it's Canada, naturally they're going to spend more time on the Canadians, because the Canadians, they are who the Canadian folks at home want to see. And it's the same thing with the Americans. And I know the United States is made up of a whole lot of Jamaicans, as is Canada. But at the end of the day, they are more concerned about their American audience. And the American audience means out of that 300 plus million people that are residing in the United States, chances are the percentage of Jamaicans who will be tuned in when compared to the percentage of Americans who want to see their athletes, it's not going to be bigger. So they're catering to the bigger audience, and the bigger audience is the Americans who want to see their American athletes running. And I know track and field isn't that big in the United States, and we say, oh, the Jamaicans, we make track and field relevant in the US or whatnot. From a coverage point of view, the United States don't really they don't give that that energy to track and field when compared to other sports. Remember, US have a lot more other sports, and they have basketball, they have the NFL, they have so much other sports. It's not like Jamaica where we're just football and track and field. So we're fully invested in that. It's a bit of a different case in the US, but I won't go down a rabbit hole with that. So if you're expecting to see your Jamaican athletes or your Jamaican folks performing at the Olympics, I would recommend that you tune into coverage that is being brought by Jamaicans. So One Spot Media, TVJ, I think they have a coverage going, so you can check them out. You can purchase a subscription for the month, and you can watch the Olympic Games from a Jamaican standpoint. You get those interviews as well, where the Jamaican journalists who are there in Paris will do the occasional interviews with the athletes. Okay, doing Jamaicans in season, was it the same 3 seconds coverage? Yeah, I got a couple seconds coverage as well. What they did in Canada, as soon as I think it was Italy and then Jamaica, as soon as the Jamaicans came on and we got our 5 seconds of fame. I think we got in Canada, it was maybe 20 seconds, because I got a video of 26 seconds. And for the first 6 seconds, it was the Italian team. And then afterwards, it was the Jamaican team. So I want to say 20 seconds, 18 to 20 seconds for Jamaica, as shown by CBC in Canada. Okay? So if you want to watch the Olympics from a Jamaican standpoint, I would recommend you get Jamaican coverage. And how to get Jamaican coverage, One Spot Media, your best bet. Okay? You don't be watching it on NBC or on all these other channels and then complaining that, hey, they're not showing the Jamaican athletes. They have to cater to their audiences, and their audience is made up primarily of folks who want to see US athletes. Okay? So don't get vexed at the folks for showing their athletes. Anyway, my final point, and this is not even because the thing is, I don't want to give Suchman any energy or any recognition. So he's still trying to be seen. So we've been talking about fastest man alive. I think television host lapsed a couple of days ago, and it's been so frequent on the internet since. I haven't done a video on it because I think it's a non-argument. I shouldn't even be speaking on it. No, but Suchman did a live stream from the boat that the US team was coming in on, and basically saying fastest man alive, checking in from Paris and all of that. Big up Usain Bolt. I know you weren't on a boat in Paris, but big up yourself anywhere you're at. Big up Elaine Thompson here, fastest woman alive. I know you're not in Paris either. I hope you get well soon. So big up the two fastest individuals alive, Usain Bolt and Elaine Thompson here, as I'm pretty sure neither of you guys were on top of a boat in Paris yesterday. But anyway, we'll leave it at that for now. And now I'm going to turn it over to you, the viewers and subscribers, because as always, Halftime TV is curious to hear what your thoughts are. Okay, so leave those thoughts in the comment section. What are your thoughts on Halftime TV's takeaways from the opening ceremony? I know we said 5, and I'll leave it over to you to decide what your top 5 takeaways are, because I think I listed like 5 or 6. Now we won't add Suchman to it, so let me just start from the top. PG-18. So the opening ceremony wasn't family friendly, let me put it that way, and that's my pointer number 1. I think a lot of aspects during that opening ceremony, you had to probably take your kid out of the room because of the content that was displayed. And there were a lot of question marks as well. People asking, should kids be watching this? And we know the Olympic Games, usually it's accommodating to the family. So you can sit in a couch with the entire family and you can watch it and you can enjoy it. That's what was expected from the Paris opening ceremony yesterday. That's not what was delivered. So not accommodating at not PG-13, in my opinion. Let's hear what your thoughts are on that. My next pointer, decolonization, one of the themes, yet we had black folks coming in on a boat. I don't think those two, they don't mesh well, but maybe it's a symbolism that I'm taking from it. Maybe it's interpreted differently by someone else. But continuing, I think too much. So the French, we know they're over the top. They usually try to do things extra, but I just think this was too much. It was all over the place. It was just too much to soak in. It lacked a focal point, and I think that can be tied into my third pointer where I said it was too much. So yeah, Lacked focal point. Moving on, I think it wasn't inclusive and accommodating to the wider world. So if you didn't speak French, if you weren't aware of the French culture and everything that that France's story was about, then you couldn't follow. And I don't think that's what opening ceremonies should be about. Okay, continuing. Celine Dion on the Eiffel Tower. Glimmer of hope from the opening ceremony, as well as redemption for Team Canada, who's been the embarrassment of the Olympics so far. So let's hear what your thoughts are on that. My next point, Lady Gaga struggles. So Mademoiselle or Madame Gaga did not have her best night, as there are so much gaps in her performance. But again, that's my thought. Let's hear what you, the viewers, have to say. And coverage from the different media houses. So depending on where you're watching from, your experience of the Olympics will vary, and I guarantee you that much. So yeah, Canada had two members of their team removed from the Olympic Games for spying on another team before their football game. So so they've been dragged. The Olympic Association in Canada has been basically dragging them here in Canada and saying, okay, this isn't the first time. They should have been aware, because apparently it happened at the Nations League or the Copa America as well. So I think right now they've been pulled. Like, if you're outside of Canada, if you're outside of Canada, you probably will not get the same coverage. But here in Canada, they're being dragged real bad, especially the organizing committee of that particular team, because you know how Canada is. They pride themselves on being nice people and follow the rules and all of that. So at the Olympic Games, the coach for the Canadian female team for the Canadian team, I think Bev Priestman, was removed, and one of the assistants for flying a drone over, I think, the New Zealand training ground, trying to spy on their tactics. Okay, so just for a bit of context. All right, going over to the comment section, Drew Barr said it was maybe the worst Olympic ceremony ever. And for a country that has a lot of Black athletes representing them, I did not see that in the opening ceremony performance. Okay. Continuing out all of that for forward. Over the years, I've always enjoyed watching different countries walking in groups and holding their respective flags. Just didn't see that. I think the French wanted to do it differently, and I think they got it horribly wrong. But again, that's my opinion, right? And I'll reiterate: the opinions or the views shared on Halftime TV are solely those of the host, myself here. Okay, so don't go out and say, "Hey, this is no." I share it. If you disagree with me, please feel free to disagree in the comment section. We don't have a problem with that. But remember, smash the like button and subscribe to Halftime TV if you haven't yet done so. It's day. I think Jamaica participated this morning in the form of Ashley McKenzie. Okay. Ashley McKenzie, round of 16 in judo. So again, big shout out to Ashley McKenzie. And I won't stop saying that today, because I know when it comes down to track and field, that's where all of our attention usually lies. That's where all of our focus, all of our energy usually lies. And we don't really focus on those athletes who are not in the track event, the likes of Yona Knight Wisdom and these guys who dedicate themselves to events outside of the popular events. So big shout out to Ashley McKenzie, and we're proud of you, and we hope you continue to do well in judo. Okay, I've missed like all the countries on Peacock out of foolishness. I'm sure LeBron James like them pride. There you go. So we mentioned that as well. If you want a coverage of the Olympics that is representative of you, or if you're from Jamaica and you want to watch or you want to have that Jamaican experience, maybe you need to subscribe to One Spot Media or one of those. If you're in Germany, probably subscribe to a German channel or one. But you can't expect to have a Jamaican experience of the Olympics if it's being brought by an American channel, because they will always focus on their athletes. And nothing is wrong with that, because as I said, they're catering for their audience. Okay. So once what media block you. All right. So again, I'll now turn it over to you, the viewers. As always, we left it at 30 minutes today, and we'll continue this little practice where I think we can touch base once in a while. Not once in a while. I think maybe at the end of each day. How that sound? End of each day, right? Yeah, I think we can touch base at the end of each day. I'll be doing some short videos here and there as well, to keep you updated on everything that's happening. And but when we get to track and field, that's when we will be doing the longer live streams. But yeah, you can always have it here. You can always watch it here. We will be bringing all the coverage. Once the Jamaican athletes are participating, we will try our best to bring you the coverage. Okay. So I'm gonna run now. So I'll turn it over to you to hear what your thoughts are. What were your takeaways from the opening ceremony? Let's hear in the comment section. Okay. Big up on yourself. Love on you. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Halftime TV is here, and we will be covering the Olympic Games. We will be keeping you, the viewers and subscribers, updated. Big shout out QLS and Zavara Enterprise. Enjoy your weekend, folks. We'll talk soon.